Our topic now is research designs. Research design basically means a plan for your study, how you are going to do your study. And there are many things you need to include in the plan. But we start first by focusing on what is involved. And then at the end of this lecture, you should be able to, number one, explain what the main research designs are and why they are chosen. I will teach you 4. And number 2, describe the compulsory components of the main research designs. Why do you use them and what you must have if you choose A, B, C, or D. And you should be able to give examples of the main research designs. There are many in the world, but I think if you know these 4, it is enough to guide you. So like I say, a research design is a plan for how you do the study. And if you choose a particular plan, whether A, B, C, or D, you follow the components of that plan. It's like you go to McDonald's, you choose a certain value meal and you take everything in that meal. It goes together. You don't mix and match across because they've calculated the cost and this is the price. So in the same way, if you choose a certain research design, A, B, C, or D, you follow the plan, how you do the study. And we are talking about chapter 3. Chapter 3 has 6 important components. The first 5 are very, very important. You must know your research design, and today we are starting on that. And 3.2 will be the participants, or if you are analyzing text, then you describe the text or the corpus. 3.3 will be the instruments. Instruments, we refer to the questionnaire, interview questions, observation guides, or test questions, because this thing help you to get the data. When the students answer the questions for you, that's when you analyze and you get the data. When you interview people using the questions, those questions actually give you the data when they talk. So this is how you see instruments, not pen or paper, not the phone to do recording. Those are just tools for you. Don't call them instruments. 3.4, data collection procedures. What do you do? Yes, we know you give online questionnaire link. You have to describe the process. Who gives to who, When do you give? How long do you take to do the study? And how many reminders do you send? How do you send them? All those need to be described. 3.5, data analysis procedures. Yes, I know you get the online Excel sheet that collects all your online survey data. What do you do now? What are you analyzing? Those need to be described. And 3.6, finally, limitations of the study. Of course, at the time that you do your proposal, you can only imagine certain common limitations. But after you've done the study, that's when you make improvements and there are real limitations you encountered that you wish you had done differently so that you get better results. So those are real insightful things that other researchers want to learn from so that they can avoid those mistakes, they can study things in a deeper way and so on. So you should also know how to go to journal papers, and if they talk about limitations, you should learn not to repeat their mistakes. And limitations are usually found in the very last paragraph of the whole paper. It is different from the thesis. Well, in a thesis, in a FYP, it is found in chapter 3, very last section. So in a paper, it is found in the very, very last of the whole paper. But they will not talk so at length about it, but they will still review the limitations. Because every study has got limitations. It's just that some are more serious and some have much more than other people. Of course, we try to minimize. So we come to main research designs. I'm talking about the 4 in the middle that I will introduce to you. Exploratory research, descriptive research, correlation research, and experimental research. What are they? Okay. On the left-hand side, you see the application. Is it basic research or applied research? This one you already know. If it is basic research, we are trying to find new knowledge, and therefore the study will have theoretical significance when you add new knowledge to the field. Applied research is when you do a study to solve practical problems. So it will help some people to make some things better. Okay. First research design is exploratory research design. What is it? It is research used to investigate a problem that is not clearly defined. Not clearly defined doesn't mean you did not read enough and don't know. It's because you have tried to read and then people didn't really study it that much. So it is not clearly defined. Okay. Why do we want to do a study when the whole thing is so unclear? Well, the research problem is important. It's just that the exact nature of it we don't know yet. So as we do the study, we will figure out the different steps along the way. Okay. And because it is so exploratory, you may not be able to generalize the findings to many places and many contexts because you did not control a lot of things, but you can describe that event or that phenomenon in enough detail so that people can understand that happening better. You know, like the white flag phenomenon in Malaysia, it never happened before. And white flag, when used in other circumstances, are for indicating surrender. But here it has a different meaning. Yes, the people kind of surrender and say, I don't have enough food, I need a lot, I don't have enough money and lots of needs. But it also has other elements. So it is a very unique thing. Okay, so yes, an exploratory research design can be used for that. So if we use an exploratory research design, how? You must have open research questions. It cannot have very clear variables already because you don't know what you're going to get until you do some analysis. You may have certain theoretical bases like citizens helping one another, you know. You can read up on that. Social movements is also another theoretical basis that you could refer to. Then the important thing is you must analyze the case or the data. Eventually, you can propose certain explanations. Maybe not really to the level of a theory, but certain explanations. Example, what factors can make students interested in the research project? Yeah, this is $1 million question. I want to know the factors, and then my colleagues and I can then use motivation to help you so that you can be interested in your research project. Actually, you can study this, maybe. Okay, this is an example of my study, which falls into the category of exploratory research design. This was my FYP student, but she didn't finish because she got interested in other things. But I wrote a very good paper from her data. It is about what happens in the preschool classroom. Yes, preschool kindergarten has been studied in overseas context, but the way they educate their preschool schoolers are very different from the Malaysian setting. They let them have fun and it is a play kind of curriculum. But over here, it is not quite like that. It is a lot of teaching, reading readiness, and so on and so forth. And so I think it classifies itself. It can be categorized as exploratory research because it's not that much studied. And it's true, I'm not just saying it because I taught you how to write research gap and I tell you it's not much studied. The findings that we managed to get, nothing about what really happened in the classroom. Okay, so we were also not sure what data to expect, just that she went to the classroom, she did recording, and we come back and analyze the sequence of how the teacher talked to the students. And it's very different in the English class and in the BM class. It's really different. Okay, that one you want to know more, you can read the paper later. But I just show you one part here where I actually acknowledge the limitation of the study. Okay, 2 lessons may provide a small database which limits generalization of results, but the in-depth analysis of teacher-student interactions reveal how teachers adapt their talk to their students' language proficiency. Okay. It must always be in-depth analysis. For you, no, I would not advise you to do exploratory, to be honest, because you will be so lost, and after that, you don't know how to analyze the results. And then when you go there, you also don't know what you should be interested in. So it's a bit dangerous if you are just novice starting out, okay? But novice starting out can do number 2 here. descriptive research design. So what is a descriptive research design? It is a research that describes characteristics of a particular individual, situation, or group. It can be qualitative descriptive, it can be quantitative descriptive. You know, qualitative means you can sit down and observe what happens when people buy food, how they order food, and so on. Or it can be quantitative, you can give people questionnaire about some behavior. So it's either way. That's why I say very likely most of your research designs are descriptive research designs. Why would you want to do it? Well, you want to identify certain characteristics. You want to get certain frequency or trends. You want to understand how, when, or where something happens. Example, right down there, characteristics of people who sign up for Korean language classes. You want to know who would want to pay money to attend classes like this. And then if we know that it will have practical outcomes, our faculty can use that and then try to work out strategies to promote the Korean classes. Then we get more business, okay? How to do descriptive research designs? Well, you need to refer to some theory, okay? You need to refer to somebody's theory so that you know what to focus on. You cannot be so lost because this one is not the exploratory type. You must go in knowing that you are interested in certain characteristics like patriotism, and you need to go for certain behaviors of patriotic citizens. There are studies on it already, so that you know that if you ask questions in interview or questionnaire, you have to target those questions. It may end up it is not relevant for Malaysians, but you still need to ask and find out. So you need to read the literature. Then you say like that, I better do exploratory, no need to read. Hey, no. Before we did the study, we also read up on children language. It may not be teacher-student interaction. There were a number of papers, but we read out on children language. You know what the things are, the things they talk about. We read out on teacher talk. You know how teacher talk with students, always talk down, always ask questions, many questions, and didn't wait for answers. Yes, we do read. It's not that we just go in and don't know what's happening. But descriptive, when you go in and collect the data, you must know what kind of data you need to collect. Example from my master's student, Kirsty, she graduated last year, but had a convo in February. Gender differences in computer-mediated communication. Sound very change, but basically it means that she looked at either Facebook or Twitter. Where is it? Facebook comments. She just analyzed Facebook comments. But she got an interesting way to analyze the Facebook comments. She took certain comments, certain sentences from there, and then she used another framework that says that women always write like this, men always write like this. And then so let's say she take sentence 1, which look like is a women kind of language. Sentence 2, which look like men kind of language. She had quite a number of them. Then she show it to other people in the social media and said, guess who wrote sentence 1, male or female, and why do you say so? So this is the gender part of it. Interesting, okay? So this is her analysis framework. You see, male, very information-oriented, self-promotion, always boasting. Female on this right-hand side, interpersonally oriented, always go for the personal interest in the person. Hedges, I think maybe like that, could be like that, you know. So she got all this list. I just show you some. And this is another analysis framework. And this is not exploratory because she knew what are the gender characteristics already. All right. Interesting just now. Now, third type, correlational research design. And this is also very interesting. Correlation, you know, 2 things happen together, but one may not cause the other. Okay. For example, classic example that I always give, a long time ago, people did not use that much electricity. A long time ago, people also did not have very high crime rate. Now, electricity consumption is very high. Crime rate is also very high. Can you say that using electricity make people commit more crimes? You cannot, because the two just occur together. But there is a hidden cause underneath that make the two occur together. And in this case, it is the population increase. When there are more people, of course, they use more electricity. And with more people, of course, there are more bad people who commit crimes. So the two happen together. And you can study the two happening together, but you cannot say one causes the other. Later in the last and design number 4, you can talk about cause. Here, you can only talk about correlation happen together. Why do you use correlational research design? Well, we want to know whether A influences B. You know, if you want to study whether electricity consumption and crime rate are related, I would say, yes, you can go and do the study, but it is not important for you to study because the logic behind it is flawed, okay? But we are just interested in influence. Very careful, do not use the word cause and effect because we are not doing experimental. We are only correlating or putting A and B together. You can only use the word influence. How to use it? Well, it's best if you have a theory that says A and B actually did happen together. There are certain connection, you know, like persuasion. If you use a lot of emotional appeal, people or customers like to buy the product because they are persuaded emotionally to buy it. And actually the most effective persuasion is emotional appeal based on the findings I have read. Okay, whether it's advertisements or political speeches, the emotional appeal always work very well, more so than logic. So okay, so let's say you want to correlate the use of different types of appeals with the product, how much is sold. Yes, you can correlate the two because there are theories who say that persuasion affects customers' buying behavior. So you put the A and B together, sure can. I have a more interesting example here, down here. Is there a relationship between years of marriage and the personality characteristics of the couple? If your study shows yes, it means that the longer a couple is together, the more similar they are in their attitudes, opinions, and behavior. You see, I'm going to measure in 3 ways, attitude, opinion, and behavior. So this already gives you an indication of the objectives of the study. There are 3 objectives: targeting, attitude, opinion, behavior. Of course, in the demographic, I'm going to ask them how many years they have been married. And I think I will also have another questionnaire on the personality characteristics. Then I can do certain correlation. So you need to collect a lot of data, okay? Different kinds of data for your purposes. Now let's do simple correlation. Simple correlation is students who attend class, the attendance, I can calculate your attendance, okay? And then I can get your marks at the end of the research method course. I can correlate the two and see whether those who attend class more get higher marks or not. So in this case, I only need 2 sets of data. Very easy, okay? So here I have a correlation study to share with you. Predicting efficacy. Efficacy means confidence. And dominance in political conversations. Impact of demographic characteristics. There are 2 stages inside here. The first stage is just predicting the efficacy and dominance. I try to correlate the two. Then later I try to go into the demographic, the gender, the ethnicity, the age, socioeconomic status, qualifications, and so on. If I just want to study the relationship between A, maybe A1 and A2, and B, then what are the variables? Here you see efficacy is one, dominance in political conversation is another one. When you look at this, do you know who is more confident about talking politics? You look at the percentage of the total score of 15. I calculate as percentage. As you know, the highest percentage is 100%, which is always good. 0% means bad. So by looking at this, who do you think is more confident about talking politics? This is teaching you a little bit about interpretation of the results of the table. You look at the gender, male and female. Who is more confident about talking politics? Okay, 70, yeah, Kim, correct. 70% is higher than 64. So it looks like males are more confident, but I put the X there, but it is not confident until it is significant level. It's just that the percentage is higher. Now, if you look at ethnic group, who is more confident about talking politics? Others, right? Because it's 76% and the rest are all in the 60 something. And in this case, I put an asterisk sign at the ANOVA. So that means the significance is really significant. It is remarkably different until there is considered significant. Okay, so others, this would be other than Malay, Chinese, indigenous. They are more confident, as you can see from the scores. Okay, so this is correlation. I did run other correlation, but this one here is talking about differences caused by the demographic background. Okay. This one is on the real correlation ones. Who is more confident about talking politics? But I have put the cross there, means that even though correlation results were produced, they are of no significance. There is no relationship between confidence in talking politics and father's educational qualification, and also family involvement in politics. Why father's educational qualification? We use this as a proxy or indicator of the socio-economic status of the family. Okay, not connected. So the only thing is ethnicity. So these are the conclusions for a correlational study. Of course, I report the level being moderate, male more confident, but Chinese also confident, and so on and so forth. Okay. Finally, experimental research design. This is a very strong design if you can do it, because you can really study cause and effect. If you take a lot of fruits, does it make your skin look better? You know, because you give the person fruits to eat every day for 2 weeks, does it make the skin better after 2 weeks? You know, because you control the conditions, so you can say yes, it does. So when do you use it? Well, if you are serious about finding out if A causes B, or how A affects B, or how the effect of A on B, then you have to do experimental research design. If you believe that using songs to teach English will help students to improve their English, then you have to carry out an experiment and use songs to teach for 1 semester, 14 weeks, or maybe 10 weeks. You must carry out an experiment and you must control the situation. Best if you got 2 classes, one class using songs, another class normal, then you give them a test at the beginning of the semester and another test at the end of the semester. Then you see whether the class that went through the experiment of learning through songs actually had better English scores or more improvement. Very important, what you need to note is you must plan your experiment, because that is the thing that makes the difference. A lot of students, when they do this, especially the master's and PhD students, they thought that once they found the test to give at the beginning, at the end of the experiment, the whole thing is successful already, and they never spend time to plan out the experimental treatment. You know, you want to give people fruits to eat. What kind of fruits are you going to give? You're going to give them as a fruit basket every morning, with 4 types of fruit every morning, and make sure they finish. You know, you have to make sure they finish it and they don't sell it for money. You know, 2 weeks of fruits, they can make a lot of money, but they didn't eat anything. After that, they affect your results because you found that the skin condition is as bad as ever. How do you make sure your experimental conditions are controlled? You must plan it properly. Okay, let's say we do a study, the effect of experienced lecturers on the writing of university students in English classes. Class A, taught by experienced lecturer. Class B, new lecturer. And you measure the students' writing scores in the beginning in week 15 of the semester. Yeah, but make sure the 2 persons have got the same personality. Maybe both are boring. You know, you cannot have one interesting one. Maybe the experienced lecturer is very old and boring, and then the class B is taught by the young lecturer who is very interesting. The personality could make a difference, so you must control certain variables, okay? All right, this is my students' work using an experimental design, which is communication strategy training, and she taught it for 14 weeks. Taught them certain strategies, collected data the whole semester through to find out whether there is a change before and after. Okay. 13-week communication strategy training was conducted, focusing on blah, 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 blah. Okay. She had a whole outline of how to do when you enter the class, what to do, and so on and so forth. It has to be outlined like that so clearly. And after that, the reporting shows which one is used more or less. That is the results. Okay. Now to conclude, I want to see whether you know how to match the titles of the studies to the research design. One, correlation, relationship of self-confidence and English language proficiency. Correct, Evian. Any more? Two D effects of social media usage on social interaction skills experiment. Very good, Kim. If you have experiment, you use effects of A on B. 3A, what happens on the first day of grade 1 piano lesson exploratory, because nobody knows what's happening. Yeah, nobody studies this, but it's important to study nevertheless. Yeah, it's like teaching people how to ride a bicycle. All right, number 4B, survey of university students' monthly spending habits. Descriptive, yes, you can do a study among the public universities, 20 public universities or more now, and find out what university students spend the money on. All right, very good. Okay, I hope the rest are as confident as those who have responded and are sure as those who have responded. So when you start to plan your last assignment, this is what you can think about, the different research designs.